Hello, and welcome back to the Nobody Asked Your Opinion podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan McGriff. On this episode, I decided we should talk about parenting sucks. That sounds harsh, doesn't it? Let me start by saying I'm a parent, so um, I think I can get away with saying parenting sucks to people that are listening in. Whether you're a parent, first time parent, you have 4 kids, 2 kids, no kids. Parenting sucks. The easiest parent to be is a dog parent, I think. By the time they're 15 or 16, they're too old to argue back, and I mean that from the dog side. Uh, Parenting sucks. Okay, why am I saying this? I'm saying this not only as a parent, but I look back. Let me set up by saying my daughter is going to be on her 17th year this year, and she is a good kid. She is a good kid. She's a good student. For the most part, she's pleasant to be around, particularly for this year. This is a rough year for some parents, moms and daughters. Um, but when I say parenting sucks, I mean what do I mean? I mean it just sucks. It does. There is, you know, there I feel like there's a lie that you're told when you're younger. And I think it's a lie to tell people in order to procreate, in order to have the kid. Um, at, you know, to be a parent, you have to have, just a lot of selfless will to just give up who you were. On the female side, you're, and there obviously there's male single dad uh, households. There's more female single mom households, but and then the two parent. You could have same sex parent. Doesn't matter. When I say the what you're giving up, on the woman's side, you give up a lot. I think it's funny now that we're seeing an increase in surrogate moms, which is to me one of the first lines that women are starting to admit parenting sucks because pregnancy alone, I mean, there's so many. Never are you closer to just so many issues than when you're pregnant, and then you're giving up your body, you're gaining weight, you're giving up your figure, your breasts, your hips. There are things that are just never going to look the same, and you know the the after part of it, your brain is never the same after you have a child. Um, and then you're giving up sleep. You're giving up time. You're giving up, for a lot of parents, career goals or aspirations for what they want to do. There's not a lot of self care when you're a parent, be it a two parent household, single parent. Less so when you're a single parent. Definitely, you have a lot of juggling to do. But yeah, and I guess it sounds harsh, but you're giving up. You're getting a child that for the most part loves you, but it's almost a parasitic relationship because they need you. They need you. That sounds horrible, but they need you. They need you to survive. As they get older, it becomes less and less. The need is there. I think for a lot of kids, and myself included, you really don't appreciate what your parents did until you're an adult, and even then until you have your own kids, and by then it's too late, and then you wonder why your grandparents or your parents don't want to pick up the phone to offer to babysit because they're free. They have their life back. I think for me, looking back on my role as a parent, I've been a single parent since my daughter was uh, well, honestly, since she was born, but for the most part, I would say I've been a single parent, truthfully, since she was probably about 18 months, 2 years. And, I juggled working 2 jobs, and one job was to support her for daycare. You start to wonder why you're working to pay for daycare so that they can go someplace else. And then they get older, and then you have the all the things the kids want to do, where it be it Disney, after school, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, ballet, soccer, football, whatever the hell they're doing. All of it costs money. Um, and you start to realize, and I guess this is where I am at now, um, as my daughter becomes and evolves more into the adult version of herself. I am at a stall because now I'm having more freedom of time to do things that I want to do, to invest back into myself, to kind of have um, a break of the commitment you have, be it taking them to school, taking them to the doctor, picking them up, taking them there. I mean, you guys, you know how that is. You know, I'd love to hear um, the trials and tribulations of parents listening at home, but you know, and now I find myself, and I'll use this example. I was at my salon getting a facial, and truly a luxury to sit back and relax and not have to worry or about my daughter's schedule, about uh, what am I missing, getting home cooking dinner. But then again, you have that pause. I'm sitting here and I'm I'm trying to formulate and keep busy to figure out what I'm going to do on the other side of my life. You know, and I think that's a struggle for most parents. Once you raise them, what are you doing on the other side of it? But when I say it sucks, is because 17 years later, if you told me 17 years ago, I would be confused at what to do with this on a Saturday, or or how to make plans, by myself or with friends. I would have laughed because I had a full life and a full schedule. And then, this little person comes into the world and just takes over everything. And you kind of forget who you are. You forget to prioritize yourself. And I am definitely guilty of that. And so as I sat there today, and I've started to become a journal keeper, and I don't mean like a diary. I just start to jot more and more notes down. I think we all do it as we get older. I think as we're forgetting, we forgot where we put something, or we get a thought and we don't want to lose it. So I start to jot stuff down, and to try and keep a scheduled schedule. And I just find myself looking back, and I'm the same person I was 17 years ago, but not the same person. Um, my views are different. I've the world has changed in 17 years, um, and now I'm at the struggle where I say parenting sucks, but I guess that's why they roll you right into being a grandparent. Not for me at any time. And if my daughter is listening, definitely not anytime soon. But yeah, parenting sucks. It has its joys, it does. But in all honesty, you have a lot of you have more people admitting it now that parenting or raising a child was not what they either thought it was going to be, or it's not all that it's cracked up to be. It's the great lie. Um, I often say marriage is the same thing, but you're told to, you're told you're going to have this experience that's going to change you. And does it change you? Absolutely, yeah, of course it changes you. But I'm not 100% sure it changes you for the better. You know, um, and it's not. This is not. I'm not sitting here to complain and go on and on. I value the relationship and the time I've had with my daughter. I when I look back, I wouldn't give it up. Um, but I also have to be honest and wonder if would I do it again? That's the question. Would you do it again? If you could be honest with yourself and you look around without looking at the cute baby photos or looking at the prom photos or looking at the vacation photos, would you do it again? All of it. The poop, the vomiting, the drama, the loss of of yourself, the time, the lack of sleep. Would you do it again? And my answer is honestly, I don't know. I lean every day. I lean differently. I wonder who I would have been had I not been a parent. Because again, you lose yourself. You do. You lose yourself. And I do sit back and I question certain choices I made that I wouldn't have made had I not been a parent and had to embrace caring for this person. if you just have to care for yourself, you're a lot more free, you know. If you're not having to have a child rely on you for support, you're a lot more free um, to 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 make certain choices. Um, my child's father uh, completely checked out when she was younger, and it's funny. Men are. I feel not all men, and I don't want to sit there and get a bunch of hate, but not all men. Some men understand what the role is to be a father. Unfortunately, not a lot of them, it seems, know what it means to be a dad. But they have the capacity, and it's almost, I almost envy it to check out. I never had that nature nurture thing. I was never naturally a mom. I never felt the whole, that connection. I looked at this little person who had just ripped me asunder, and I didn't feel warm and fuzzy. I felt gross and I wanted to shower. And I was tired. I wanted a nap, but you can't take one. Um, I, you know, your men have the capacity to detach from that and detach from, people say, I guess it's the we carry them for 9 months is the excuse, but obviously in today's world of adoption and surrogacy, that's not always the case. That's your parent, doesn't matter how the child came into the world. A parent, I'm talking about the person who gets up when that kid wants a glass of water at 3 o'clock in the morning, who has a nightmare, who is there after school, who is trying to keep them away from drugs or idiots, or just not showing their ass on Instagram and getting a tattoo before they're ready. That's a parent. That's a parent. And so men have the innate ability to have this selfishness, which again I find admirable. I do. I can remember um, my child's father pretending he was asleep when she'd wake up in the middle of the night. Um, and I knew, and you look, they're awake, and they're because he didn't want to get up, obviously. Um, and they can have that pretense. They can have that whole separation and divide. And again, enviable. I wish there's a lot of me that wishes I could have done something similar. I mean, what about you guys? I mean, I think parenting is again, it breaks the sexual component, meaning male or female, because you could be a single dad and know exactly. There's a lot of single dads. There's a dad I follow on Instagram. He has like 3 kids, and they all look like they're like 8 and under, and he's doing it himself. Like he'll show his parents helping, but he's doing it himself. Um, and so again, it does go past. It does go past barriers, but I also noticed that he takes the time for himself. And ladies, I don't think we do that. I don't think we take the time to what do they call it now? Self care. Self care. How often are you doing self care as a parent? Do you schedule your self care? Are you are you writing it down? Are you asking permission to take a bath and having someone watch the kids? And this is where I say parenting sucks, because um, who were you before you were a parent? Um, were you didn't have to ask permission. You didn't have to ask permission to go to the bathroom, and so I say you lose yourself. The hope is, obviously, as your child uh, grows up and gets older, you don't do it to have that sense of appreciation, because some truly, they don't have it. Um, and that's not why you do it. But I do wonder: is it the greatest experience, the greatest lie ever told? How honest are you with yourself? Could you be honest and again say, would you do it again? And I'll ask parents this, and they'll look around and make sure no one else is listening, and then you'll hear that the whisper of fuck them kids. That's my favorite. Fuck them kids. Um, Again, kids are hard. Kids are hard. And be it 1 or 4, it doesn't matter. Kids are hard. But yeah, I wonder what you guys. I'd love to know what you think. And the what are you doing on the other side? If your kid is about to leave the nest, do you remember who you were? Are you planning a vacation? Where are you going? What are you doing? Um, Are you trying to reinvent who you were before you had the kids, or do you have a new plan? And was it on the back burner, this plan, or was it, have you been slowly plotting this all along, or did it just come to you? I offer up any suggestions because again, I'm sitting here in a stall, and it's not that obviously not that I work, I have hobbies, but you when you lose that void of the needs of that child, it does leave a gap. It leaves a gap, and trying to fill it, and actually trying to have the conversation with yourself, um, about who you are now. Who again? Who are you? Do you know who you are? Do you have a conversation? Um, Not outside. Don't look like you're talking to yourself crazy, but you have a conversation with yourself. Do you write it down? Do you have goals? Do you have aspirations for the next phase in your life? And if you do, were they what you wanted to do before you became that parent? Or have they morphed into what you need to do now or what you can do now? Um, but it day by day, right? So I stand by it. Parenting sucks. Hardest job, and it is a job. It's a job you don't get paid for, and you don't get a raise for, and you don't get a promotion for, um, and you just get up every day and you do it. Um, it's a job I think that a lot of people, if it were an actual job, would quit, or at least they'd get retirement benefits or something. Um, but yeah, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this, people at home. And don't hate on me because I'll stand by it. Yeah, kids suck. Parenting sucks. Um, there, of course, again, there's joys, but man, it's easier to name the negatives, I think, for me than it is to name the joys. Um, maybe I'll feel differently when I'm older. I don't know. But as always, I thank you guys for listening in. You guys have a good night. Thanks for listening.